Hey everyone, welcome back. Ever scrolled through your feed and felt that twinge of envy? Like seeing those picture-perfect lives and kind of feeling that pressure to have it all.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Totally.
going to dive deep into that today, right?
Mhm.
That struggle with vanity, especially in our modern world.
Definitely a timely topic.
Our source for this deep dive is a transcript from the Faith Elevated podcast, a show all about, well, faith in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
So they start off with this super relatable scenario. You're scrolling, you see those perfect lives, those perfect homes, the perfect vacations,
Right.
and suddenly you're like, wait, what am I even doing with my
You
life?
start questioning everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they bring up this verse, 1 John 2.1, Steve, talking about all those worldly desires, kind of pulling us away from, the stuff that really matters.
Yeah, those deeper things.
Right, exactly. But like, how does that actually play out in our everyday lives?
Well, they use this really interesting example, the glow up challenge, the whole before and after thing, often tied to like extreme makeovers or all those cosmetic procedures.
Like you need to transform yourself into someone you're not.
Yeah, it's like society's pushing this idea that we need to constantly, transform ourselves to fit in, to fit some mold.
Oh, totally. It's almost like everyone's on this crazy chase for that, like filtered perfection,
Yeah.
and you end up in this cycle of comparing yourself and then doubting yourself. And then
Yeah, it never ends.
it really doesn't. And it's not even just about how we look, right? It kind of spills over into everything, our jobs, our relationships, even our vacations.
Absolutely. The source, they actually connect this to James 3.16,
Okay.
which talks about like the dangers of envy and selfish ambition, right? It's almost as if those old warnings are even more relevant now
For sure.
with social media. I mean, think about it. It's like this amplifier.
Totally. I think we've all felt that sting of jealousy at some point or another, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's over someone's seemingly perfect relationship or those amazing travel photos they post.
Oh, yeah.
But here's what I find interesting. The podcast doesn't say you can't enjoy good things. Like, it's not about rejecting everything.
No, definitely not.
It's more about finding that balance, I guess.
Yeah, finding that balance. The source really emphasizes that it's okay to enjoy beauty, to enjoy success.
Mm-hmm.
Even a little glow up is fine if that's, what you want.
Right, if it makes you happy.
The key is to not let those things become like your main focus or the source of, who
Your
you're
identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, like keeping those worldly desires in check.
Yeah.
Right? Remembering they don't last forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where Colossians 3.2 comes in.
Oh, yeah.
The one about setting your mind on like the things above.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean you have to like reject everything earthly or
Right.
live this super strict life.
It's more of a perspective shift.
Exactly. It's about, when you're building a house, you wouldn't build it on sand, right?
No way. You need a strong foundation, something solid. That's what Colossians 3.2 is saying. Like,
Yeah.
build your life on those eternal values, the things that give you meaning.
I love that analogy. That's so powerful.
It really is.
But in a world that's constantly yelling, look at me, buy this, be this.
Yeah.
How do we even start to shift our focus to, those deeper, more meaningful things? How do we drown out the noise?
It's tough. But the source suggests starting with a simple question.
Okay, I'm listening.
What are you spending your time on? What are you putting your energy into? Are you always chasing validation from, likes and followers and all that? Or are you actually taking care of your spirit? Are you investing in your relationships, pursuing your passions, contributing to something bigger than yourself?
It's like taking stock of your life, right? Figuring out where you're putting your energy, where vanity might be sneaking in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not about, beating yourself up for those moments of comparison or desire. We all have them.
Yeah, for sure. It's about recognizing those moments, understanding why they're there, and then consciously choosing to redirect your energy to what truly matters.
So it's about recognizing that this pressure to have it all is often just a distraction, a shiny object leading us away from, well, true fulfillment.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
It's remembering that true joy, contentment, those things don't come from like keeping up with the Joneses or chasing the latest trends,
Nope.
but from aligning your life with your values, living a life of purpose.
Absolutely.
So it's about defining success on our own terms,
Right.
not by what the world says, but by what matters to us, and finding that inner peace that comes from, well, living authentically.
Exactly. And that's something we can all strive for,
Yeah.
regardless of our beliefs or, where we come from.
Mm.
It's recognizing that trends are fleeting, they come and go.
Yeah.
It's choosing to invest in things that have lasting value, things that bring real meaning and purpose to our lives.
So how do we actually apply this in 2024? Like, are there concrete steps we can take to move from this place of vanity to a place of, genuine fulfillment? What does it really look like to elevate from vanity?
Well, one powerful tool the source suggests is, they call it, well, one powerful tool the source suggests is, they call it the gratitude shift.
Okay.
It's about like actively, cultivating gratitude,
Mm.
focusing on what you have, the good stuff in your life, rather than constantly, wanting what you don't have.
It's like that saying, comparison is the thief of joy.
Exactly. And get this, they even tie it back to Philippians 4.8,
Okay.
where it talks about, focusing on whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, all those good things.
Wow. It's like a recipe for a good life right there.
It really is.
So like, instead of me scrolling through Instagram feeling envious of someone's, I don't know, designer handbag,
All right.
I could pause and be like, hey, I'm grateful for the roof over my head, for my health and my family, something like that.
Exactly. And they suggest making this like a daily thing, maybe even keeping a gratitude journal.
Oh, interesting.
It's all about training your mind to see the good, even when things are tough.
So you're basically rewiring your brain to focus on abundance instead of scarcity.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay, I like that. But how does this actually help us, elevate from vanity? What's the connection?
Well, think about it. When you're truly grateful for what you already have, you're less likely to feel the need to chase after more, more, more.
That makes sense.
That desire for the next shiny object starts to, fade away because you're content with what's already in your life.
So it's about recognizing the enoughness of now, of what we already have.
Exactly. And it's not just about material stuff either, You can be grateful for your talents, your experiences, your relationships.
Oh, yeah, the good stuff.
The more you focus on those things, the less you'll be swayed by those messages of not enough that, well, the world throws at you constantly.
It's hard to resist those messages, though, right? Our culture is obsessed with more, more, more. How do we, actually resist that pull towards always wanting more?
It's definitely a challenge, but the podcast offers some pretty practical advice.
Oh, because lay it on me.
They talk about setting boundaries with social media,
Okay.
maybe limiting your time on those platforms or being more intentional about, who you're following.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. It's so easy to get sucked into that comparison trap.
It really is.
And you start feeling bad about yourself.
And they also encourage finding ways to, shift your focus outward, to get involved in, helping others.
Volunteering, things like that.
Exactly. Contributing to something bigger than yourself.
So it's like taking that energy we often waste on self-obsession, and instead we channel it into something more meaningful.
Precisely. And they actually link this back to the Bible, Matthew 6.19-21, where it talks about storing up treasures in heaven, not here on earth. It's about recognizing that real fulfillment comes not from accumulating stuff, but from investing in those things that have lasting value.
Love, kindness, service, those kinds of things.
Exactly. It's like shifting from a me mentality to a we mentality, realizing that our lives actually have more purpose when we're connected to something bigger than ourselves.
I like that, me versus we. And so this shift in perspective, this shift in focus, that's what can help us elevate from vanity.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that our worth doesn't come from, the things we own or the image we try to project.
Right? It comes from within.
Exactly. It comes from the way we love, the way we serve, and the way we contribute to the world around us.
It's like they're saying true elevation isn't about climbing some social ladder or amassing more stuff.
Yeah.
But it's about rising above that pettiness of comparison and that emptiness of always wanting more, more, more.
I think you nailed it there.
And they also talk about finding joy in simple things.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the everyday moments, the beauty of nature, the connection with loved ones, those simple things.
Those are the things that matter.
Yeah, it's about rediscovering the things that bring lasting happiness and fulfillment.
It really is.
So the good life isn't the one with the most likes or the biggest house, but the one that's lived intentionally with gratitude and a focus on what truly matters.
Well said.
And that reminds me of something they mentioned about keeping up with the Joneses.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
This talk about how that constant striving for more can actually lead to emptiness and dissatisfaction, even if you achieve those material goals.
It's like that saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. But then when we get to the other side, we realize it was fake all along.
Exactly. So they encourage us to, redefine success, but on our own terms.
Yes. based on what we value, what's important to us, not what society tells us is important.
So it's about asking ourselves, what does a meaningful life look like to me? Not what does a successful life look like on Instagram?
Yeah.
It's creating a life that's, truly aligned with our own internal compass, not chasing some external ideal that someone else created.
And that brings up another point they raise, which is the importance of self-awareness.
Oh,
Understanding, our own tendencies, our own triggers, the things that might lead us down that path of comparison and envy.
like recognizing those moments when you're scrolling through social media and you start to feel that twinge of, wish I had that, or I wish I looked like that.
Yes. And they encourage us to be curious about those feelings, to ask ourselves, what's going on here? What need am I trying to fulfill?
Dig a little deeper.
Yeah. Is there a deeper longing that's being masked by this desire for something external?
So we're getting to the root of the issue rather than just shoving it down and ignoring it.
Exactly. And often when we actually take the time to do that, we realize that those feelings of envy, of inadequacy, they might stem from a lack of self-love.
Or lack of self-acceptance, right?
Mhm.
Maybe we're not connected to our true selves. So elevating from vanity is also about elevating our self-worth, recognizing that inherent value and worthiness that, regardless of what we have or how we look.
Beautifully said.
And they talk about finding our identity in something bigger than ourselves, something that goes beyond the trends and the opinions of the world. And for a lot of people, that's faith, right?
It can be.
So it's about recognizing that our true worth, our value, they don't come from external validation, but from our connection to something deeper.
To something more meaningful.
And that connection, that sense of belonging, that can give us the strength to resist those pressures of vanity, to stand firm in our values, and to live a life that's, aligned with our truest selves.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. What resonated most with you from this conversation? What are some practical steps you might take to, elevate from vanity in your own life?
Well, what really struck me was this whole idea of the gratitude shift. It's so simple, but so powerful.
It really is.
I think we get so caught up in what we don't have, what we're lacking, that we forget to appreciate all the good stuff,
Yeah.
the abundance that's already there.
It's like we're programmed to focus on the negative. You know what I mean? Like our brains are always scanning for threats, for problems.
Right, exactly.
But maybe, just maybe, we can retrain ourselves to actually see the good, to really savor the blessings.
I like that.
And the Faith Elevated podcast, they give this great example.
Okay, what is it?
They talk about how even when things are tough, when you're going through hardship, you can still find things to be grateful for.
Yeah, there's always something.
It could be the support of your loved ones, a moment of beauty in nature, just the fact that you're breathing.
The simple thing.
Exactly. It's about finding those glimmers of hope, those sparks of joy, even in the darkest of times.
I love that.
And they even bring in the scientific concept neuroplasticity.
Okay, I've heard of that.
The brain's ability to rewire itself, right? So they're suggesting that by actually practicing gratitude regularly, we can literally change the structure of our brains, making it easier to focus on the positive.
So it's not just some fluffy feel-good stuff. There's actual science to back it up.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing.
But how do we actually make this a habit? It's one thing to say, be more grateful, but putting it into practice, that's the tricky part.
Well, the podcast recommends starting small.
Okay, I like that.
Maybe at the end of each day, just take a few minutes to jot down 3 things you're grateful for.
Okay, so like a gratitude journal.
Yeah, exactly. It could be anything, big or small. It really doesn't matter. The key is to just do it consistently.
Make it a routine.
Exactly. It's like building a gratitude muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
And the stronger it gets, the easier it becomes to notice those good things.
Exactly. It becomes like second nature, a way of life.
I love that.
It changes the way you see the world.
Yeah, and I think that shift in perspective, that's what really helps us elevate from vanity. When we're focused on the good, the blessings, we're less likely to get caught up in wanting more and keeping up with the Joneses.
Exactly. And the source, they actually use this really cool metaphor to illustrate this whole thing.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
They talk about vanity being like a mirage in the desert,
Okay.
It looks real, like something that will satisfy you, but when you actually try to reach it, to grab it,
It disappears.
it's just an illusion.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
It is.
So it's about recognizing that real fulfillment, it doesn't come from chasing those mirages, but from finding contentment in, well, the oasis of gratitude.
Beautifully said. And that oasis, it's always there for us.
We just have to see it.
We have to choose to see it, to appreciate it, to really nourish ourselves with its, life-giving water.
I love that. That's such a beautiful image.
It really is.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing all your wisdom and insights.
It's been my pleasure.
This has been such an enlightening conversation, and I really hope our listeners, I hope they found it helpful, inspiring.
I hope so too. This topic, it's so relevant, especially now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's something we all struggle with.
It is.
And I really hope our listeners will join us, on this journey of elevating from vanity, of choosing gratitude over comparison, and finding contentment in the present moment.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Because as the Faith Elevated podcast reminds us, true fulfillment, it doesn't come from having more, but from being more.
So well said. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We appreciate you.
We hope you walk away with some new ideas, some inspiration to embrace the power of gratitude in your own life.
And until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, keep elevating.
We'll catch on our next deep dive into the fascinating world of, well, everything.
See you soon.